nursing and, making sure that, because, it's one thing to be there, like, whether you're throwing rocks, shooting a gun or something like that. It's another thing. It's like when these bodies are wounded and almost fatally wounded in many cases, who's caring for them, right? And so there's women, so I think it's really interesting to sort of see the different ways that women were part of the effort and supporting the effort, and like you said, absolutely right alongside the men in battle.
And then the second person that we recognize that they're most, because it's literally on a bill, right?
Yes. Yes. So there are actually two women who are featured on the bill. The one of them is the one that most people know is Sanit Belair. So Sanit Belair was a soldier, and not just a soldier. She rose to the ranks of lieutenant, higher rank than her husband, Charles Belair, who was also a military person. And she was fierce in battle, right? She's certainly rising to a leadership position. Obviously, says a lot about her acumen as a military person. So part of the sort of history mythology around her is that at the time of execution, because she was captured, both her and her husband are captured, and they are subject to be executed, and she refuses to wear a mask. She said, "I will not wear a mask.
I'm going to stare you down.
I'm going to stare you down, and you're going to see my face. You know what you're about to do to me, and you're going to look at me in the face, and you're going to see my face, and I'm not, So it wasn't about, and it's just the idea that, it's like, no, I'm not making this more palatable for you or easier for you.
I'm not going to allow you to disappear me.
Yeah.
To create, we already know that you created us as not being human. And
That's right.
I'm not in this moment going to allow you not to see the
That's
blood
right.
and the eyes, the soul in my eyes,
Right.
knowing that you are going to kill me at this moment.
That's right. About
it's still an act of liberation, still an act of resistance.
And defiance. Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that it doesn't, I think that in sort of acknowledging and understanding these women and their histories and their stories, is that I think while they're fierce and they're doing these really amazing things, I don't know that they're fearless. I think that that's something, sometimes when we sort of elevate people to heroes and heroines, it's like we tell ourselves we get this impression that they had no fear. And I mean, there may be cases where people themselves, maybe they did feel that way, but I imagine that they pushed past that, right? And I just think about what an example that is for us, right? When you think about what they had to push past, what they had to,
that even in the act of that moment,
it's a defiant moment, but yeah.
But knowing, I think that's one of the things that when people talk about ordinary people being extraordinary, that it is those extraordinary people who push through their fear.
That's right.
And push through knowing that your life is on the line.
Yeah.
You could be killed, and yet you still enact, you still take action, you still stand by your values, you still take the action, knowing very well that these may be the last days of your life.
Yeah. I actually just want to take a moment just to really acknowledge the names of these women, all of those, and say their names, right? Because for me, so earlier, I told Patty, I forgot to bring your T-shirt. So Niggas Haiti really started just as a drawing actually inspiration from Patty Bell and her Dominicans Love Haitians campaign and her work. That the power of words, right? And so I remember I bought 2 of those shirts and I wear them proudly. And it inspired me to think about how T-shirts are something, they're a common part of our wardrobes. They're everywhere you turn, people we buy T-shirts. T-shirts are very they're fashionable pieces of clothing, right? Because you can tell a lot about yourself with a T-shirt. And so it made me think about how do we use T-shirts that are, again, a common piece of clothing to continue to push messages that are very important. And so for me, it was like, okay, these are names that we're not told. These are names that we don't hear, we don't acknowledge. And even though the names are not necessarily Cecile Fatima?
Well, for those who may not know Bookman, like, he was actually Jamaican of origin.
Jamaican background, yep.
Jamaican background, came to Haiti as a enslaved person, and literally was like, we're gonna liberate ourselves, and we're gonna take whatever actions we need to take in order to liberate ourselves, and really brought communities together inside of this celebration, this voodoo celebration, to like call up the ancestors, call up the energies, and bring people who may have been at different points of to bring them together to actualize this liberation,
right?
This revolution.
Yeah, so this takes place in 1791, August 14, 1791, which is, by the way, is Gigi's born on August 14th, so that tells you a lot about her as a fierce woman. But yes, that's the day that the ceremony happens, and it sparks the revolution, and it's a pact that's made at that ceremony, right? And one of the things that Claribel and I were talking about a little bit earlier too is that something that kind of gets lost in I feel like we have a very popularized way of talking about the Haitian Revolution. Right, this popular culture, right, of like 1804, yes, first Black Republic. Although I've been, Professor Baina Bello corrects us and says it's the first Black Empire. He says actually it's more important to understand, because when you say republic, that's not quite the level it really was. Empire, which is a really big deal. First Black Empire in the Western Hemisphere. So we know that. I think all of us can recite that and say that. And again, January 1st probably being that day where most of us kind of, celebrate that. And this month, other opportunities to celebrate as well. But the other thing about that ceremony was that understand that it was a voodoo ceremony, right? And understand that, that our African spiritual tradition of voodoo is part of what inspired and was necessary to that. I don't know that we could have had the revolution outside of that. It's not Christianity, it's not Catholicism that's the driving force in this, right? This is about Africans demanding their humanity, reclaiming their humanity. And I think that's important to point out, because I think that that sometimes gets lost, or it's a part of the conversation that we kind of like maybe not amplify as much. And we all know that there's different reasons for that, but I just think it's really important to keep reminding ourselves of what is it that we were affirming about who we are, who we were, and what was important about us. And so Cecile Fatima again is central to that. Then we have Marie-Claire Auguste Facilité, who really is a humanitarian in that, again, her role is not necessarily on the battlefield, but she's one who is helping to take care of the sick, the wounded, and she plays a very, very important role. Marie-Jeanne Lamartinière, who is again a close ally of Dessalines and saves his life twice. Suzanne Simone Baptiste Louverture is the first lady. Now imagine she's the first lady of this Black Republic within the Western Hemisphere, right? So, people talk about first ladies here in America, but just, again, understanding our history and what it is that this really meant. Probably the most important, if I had to lift up a name or highlight a name in all of this is Grande Toya, also Victoria Toya Monto, right? So Grande Toya, because she is the woman who raised Dessalines. Professor Bello talks about, there's a proverb that she shares on Creole Kiti, c'est moun qui fait moun, right? And so what she means by that, in terms of, a wisdom, is that you have to be somebody to help someone else become somebody. And her point there is that, Grande Toya is of Dahomey lineage, right? So if we know, obviously we're talking about enslaved Africans. So some of these women have lineage, right?
Warrior women.
They're warrior women.
They're warrior women. They have been trained time and time again in order to be. They were the actual emperor's warriors.
If you look up Dahomey, this is some good work for us, right? popularized, if they've been brought sort of back up in the popularity of the Black Panther film. But understand that is the women from the Dahomey Empire, which is in West Africa, part of which is Benin and Nigeria at the time, right? But those tactics, right? The strategies and the tactics that Guntoya has, she teaches this to Dessalines, right? Dessalines, the story is that Dessalines' mother was very depressed and was going to abandon him. Guntoya happens to be in the area where this was going to happen, and she gives her baby to Guntoya and says, "Please take care of him for me."
Which is why community is so important.
Absolutely.
Which is why our aunties are so important.
Yes.
Other people in the communities who are looking out for our children are so important.
Absolutely. So Guntoya is really, really important because she trains this young person. She trains Dessalines to become this fierce and really masterful leader that he becomes. And then finally there's Henriette Saint-Marc, who is believed to have been a spy who smuggled. She was a beautiful woman, and she would use her beauty as a way to lure from the enemy to her, and she would smuggle weapons and also secrets, right, so that she could bring back.
And what level of to be a spy?
Yeah.
What level of intensity?
Yeah.
What level of fear are you going through at each and every moment, knowing that if you're found out?
Yeah. And it just kind of, I think, what you're getting at too is that the ways in which these women put their lives on the line, what they're willing, what they were risking, what they just were willing to do, and understanding. So the first name that I said on the list, Dede Basile, I just want to say that, one of the things.
Because we were talking about her a lot, and we were really focusing on her just because of the mind state or how people will create someone as,
right, versus
really investigating what it takes to be that kind of human being, or to be a mystic, or someone connected to the earth in a particular way, especially as us as African ancestry that are the calling forth of our spirit, our ancestors. So please.
Yeah, no. So yeah, there's so many things popping up as you're talking. But so Dede Basile, who was given the name Dede La Folle, right? And so La Folle meaning French for meaning like a person who's a lunatic or who has lost their mind. And it's so the history behind Dede Basile is that when they had dismembered the body of Dessalines. Again, she was right there, with him.
For those who may not know, that he was the first emperor, yeah. But there were people who were not supportive of him after a certain point.
Right.
So
now you sort of have divisions within. You have this new republic, but it's you're having divisions among those who helped bring it to that point.
So he was basically murdered,
mm-hmm.
and his body was murdered in a cart, right? Was it murdered in a?
I believe it. What I know is that his body was dismembered. Now I don't know if it was this idea of it being pulled apart, or if it was
I thought he was murdered as he was traveling, and it was left on the road. Mm. That's one of the things.
Yes. So he's dismembered, and his body is left in that state.
But that would be the idea of dismembering someone to take away their power, right? Is that maybe? It's a speculation. We're speculating here. But it's interesting. It's fascinating, the idea of if you rip someone apart, then they can't come back to maybe haunt you or create. There's some type of a.
And I think it's a way of taking you down. It's completely taking you down. And it's and knowing and also sort of understanding that as fiercely as you fight for something, that people want to return that to you just to absolutely disrespect you, because it is a disrespect. It is a form of disrespect. Mm-hmm. So she essentially retrieves the body and helps to put it and she to give him a proper burial, she collects his dismembered body and carries it so that she can give him a proper burial. So essentially, but I think one of the things that I want to just say this quickly is the rain.
Yeah, we're here. We're being like, we must have called. It's supposed to be raining at 3:00. That's what we read, and now it's like,
right.
Wait, we're speaking. Are we calling forth the waters? We're calling forth the ancestors.
Yes.
And we're calling forth, like, the waters to kind of cleanse us. Yeah, it's very interesting because it really was fine a moment ago.
But I do want to just say quickly this as the water is coming down, is that this idea that Dede Basile was characterized as being crazy, La Folle, to call her that, to give her that moniker, I think it in some senses is both dismissive, but it also gets at the reality of what these women, and I think we've been saying this throughout, what these women had to endure, and what does it really mean when you are in that context, in this space of, and what is it as an enslaved woman,
the horrors of rape.
That's right.
Rape, constant.
Yeah.
Constant rape by these masters, constant, and also having to lay down with also your fellow to continue to procreate, so that these children will be taken from you and then sold off to other people.
That's right. Bearing children that you did not, wish, to have. Just, everything. Seeing, as you said, your children taken from you. Seeing things that, what could have happened to your parents. That so while in some sense it may seem dismissive, I think it amplifies and it affirms that yes, we were human and this had real impact on us, and we paid a price. The price was a heavy price, and I think that for me it's being able to put flesh on the bones, in the sense that we hear these names and we hear these figures, and I think that they kind of like in a skeleton state, because it's just like we know a few things, but I feel as if the more we get to know them, the more that we get to say their names, to acknowledge them, acknowledge their contributions, particularly these women. We have to put flesh on their bones. We have to return them to their full humanity. And we may do that in imaginative ways, because the history is so scarce, right? Scant. It's not a lot. But I think that it's important for us to continue to bring these women forward, to bring this history forward, to keep telling these stories, to keep passing on this wisdom. I am grateful for Professor Bello, Baina Bello, and her as an elder and a historian who keeps these stories alive and keeps sharing this wisdom, because I think that it's meant a lot to me. And so part of the Negus Haiti project is really how do we keep bringing this forward for ourselves and for the generation.
Because one of the things also to include in that, because one of the things that we were talking about as we were walking here is the idea that there was this story about Rosa Parks, that there was this.
Yes.
Please tell us the story, because it really speaks to. So part of this too is that speaks to why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Because we need more storytellers. We need more people talking about these powerful people, human beings, who people want to erase.
Yeah.
So
and our storytelling is such an important part of that. So I was watching a TED Talk with a black historian. I can't remember his name, but he was talking about his son who was in 5th grade, who was learning. He said, "What are you learning in school today, or history?" And the son said, "We're learning about Rosa Parks." He said, "Well, tell me what they told you about Rosa Parks." And he says, "Well, they said Rosa Parks was old and she was tired, and that's why she didn't get up from her seat." And the father, who's historian who knows the history, he's like, he said he became really angry. And so what he continues to sort of talk about is that this idea of mischaracterizations and falsehoods that are sort of inherent in history, particularly history of our people, black and brown people, is meant to diminish and really to mischaracterize the contributions. And so So Rosa Parks was not old. Rosa Parks was in her 40s at the time of her act of resistance. And he said she actually wasn't tired. She wasn't coming from, I think there's like some folks that are weaving around where she was coming from on that particular day that she was coming from work, and she was...
It was a real action. It was a real conscious action that she took.
Yes. And
a conscious, created, overtime thought about, and said, we're going to do this.
And then she was also engaged. Not only was she engaged in work, like she was an activist already. Like she was already engaged in this type of work in her community. So that wasn't the starting point of her sort of life in activism. That's actually false too. But the point that he makes is that the one thing that we're afraid of is a powerful and let alone angry woman, right? And right, particularly black woman, right? So the problem of a woman who's powerful, a black woman who's powerful, and why is that problematic for history and the ways that history is retold? And I think that in a similar way, we see this with, with the women of the Haitian Revolution, that there's like this desire to, make them. Let me not say desire, but I think that it's not a mistake that we're not hearing their voices. We're not hearing the perspective or learning about the perspective that they have and that they contribute to this very, very important history. So I think that we're not doing Haitian Heritage Month justice if we're not celebrating these women, if we're not calling their names, if we're not bringing them forward.
And reimagining who they are, reconstituting them inside of who we are here in this moment, in this present moment. And as you were saying their names, imbuing them, calling them forth, and calling forth their energy, that energy of revolution, that energy of resistance, that energy of dissent, that energy of, because most times we walk around being very complacent, I don't think not as a choice, but because in reality, yes, we are very tired. We are tired.
We're tired. But I just think in general, I feel like there isn't anything. I was watching something the other night about the Green New Deal, and sure enough, there's a black woman. Her first name is Rihanna. I can't remember her last name. Who's been studying, who's been really deeply involved in the work that we're now calling the Green Deal. I say that to say that I don't think that there's anything that is done in history of this country where there is not a woman that women are not a part of. And so the fact that our contributions are often marginalized or minimized or not celebrated is a problem. That is a problem. That's not okay. Right? So that's something that my hope is that that all of these women, the Neges Haiti, as I call them, because to be a Neges, I grew up. My mother says sometimes call me Glen Neges, like you're a big deal. Like when she would try to encourage me, Glen Neges, just as a teasing way of talking to me, but it was an encouragement. And there's another proverb I just want to say, or my mother would say to me, "Mete femme sous." Mete femme sous means put woman up. People say man up. No, that's not what I was taught. Mete femme sous means bring your woman power forward because you're fierce and you're capable.
Right, bring your yoni forward.
That's right.
Bring your yoni forward. So with that in mind, we would love to continue this conversation. But it is raining, y'all, and it's getting heavier, and we are blessed to have had this opportunity with you, Kathleen. We are blessed by the thank you. And we're blessed by the ancestors who have been called forth. Cleanse us, right? Like this is a healing in telling stories, in recanting the stories of those who have come before us. This is a place of healing, and so we are thankful for the waters that have come.
Yes.
To provide love and remembrance of that healing that is coming.
And to continue to nourish.
And to continue to nourish us. That is exactly what this is for. Yes, to continue to nourish us. So we shall be back. And thank you all for joining us. We love you. And Ayi Baba!
Ayi Baba!
Ayi Baba!
Haiti chérie!